The Torah portion, the weekly portion, we're in the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim. We're in Parshas Akev, the Torah portion called Akev. We are on the fourth reading. And in this reading, we got, well, it's all fascinating. Moshe Rabbeinu Moses on the last day of his, last 37 days of his life, he's repeating a lot of what we learned previously. Some things are new laws, and we're going to get in, and some are repetition of the law, but with nuance addition. Well, let's get right into it. So listen to this interesting law that we begin with. Children, you are, Hashem, to Hashem Elokechem, your God. Yeah, okay, children of God. And that's in reference to Jewish people. And look what the interesting, comment about that is, or the command as a result. Loisi goidedu, that you shouldn't cut yourself. Loi sasimu karcha, don't put bald spots beineinechem lameis, between your eyes, for the dead. Fascinating. Yeah. Let's see Rashi on this. We need some appreciation of what's going on over here. Okay. Rashi in verse number 1, you shouldn't cut yourself. It means don't make cutting a severed or scratches on your flesh. Alames, over a dead person. In other words, Hiderach, he explains, what does it mean? The Amorites would do as such, because you are children of God, and you are fit to be nice. And not cut up, and be karochim, or not make yourself bald. See what that means also in a moment, right? So the custom of the Amorites and of nation that they were conquered, to conquer, was that for the people that passed away, they would have this ritual. Don't do this. The deeper idea over here is, not just the soul is invaluable because it's a piece of God, but the body too. And you make yourself holy in the physical of being befittingly nice. Continuing with Rashi. Second Rashi, between your eyes, next to your forehead, elsewhere it says, we had that earlier in Leviticus, a similar law, and there it said that you should not make a bald spot on your head, and didn't say between your eyes. So last is kolaresh, which means the entire head. Like the space between your eyes, insofar as the prohibition applied to it. This also had to do with those that passed away and a form of mourning. Okay, continuing. In verse number 2, ki am kadosh ata, because you are is a nation, kadosh, a holy nation, ata, you, Hashem Elokechem, to Hashem your God, uvacha bachar, and in you he chose, Hashem, God, has chose li yisloi la'am, school, that you should be a treasured people. Mikol Amim, from all of the nations, Asher al Pnei Adama, that are upon the earth. Am Kodeshata, because you are a holy people. Kodesh Atzmacha Ba'miyavesecha. This refers to inherent holiness. It's from our forebearers. But in addition, Hashem has chosen you. There's an inherent holiness, because there's two things he's saying over here in the verse, right? That we are holy, and that God chose us. Two separate ideas. So we're holy because of an inherent holiness, because of our forefathers, because of their greatness, their descendants, right, have been bequeathed to them this sanctity, and furthermore, that God has chosen us. According to Chassidus, it's going to a higher, deeper level. Not going to go into that now. Okay. Now, as a result of that, listen to this. So, you know, your treasured nation. So, you know what that means? Again, in the physical, don't eat any abomination. That's what it means. Now, as you would think, if you're treasured people, I want you to pray on the top of the mountains. Oh, become hermits on top of the mountain. Pray to me, study my Torah, and don't eat. Oh, here's the opposite. Eat. That's irrational. But don't eat anything that's an abomination. Anything that's that I made abominable for you. Keep going, for example, oh, interesting. Okay. If one intentionally slit the ear of a firstborn animal, in order that you be able to slaughter it in the country outside of the base of Migdash and to eat it. In other words, the firstborn animal belongs to the kohen, but if it's got a slit in the ear, then it doesn't have holiness anymore in it, right? So, and it could be eaten outside of the holy temple. So this is a matter that I made abominable for you through the prohibition called mum lo boy, that there shouldn't be any blemish on the animal. Don't make a blemish on the animal that's being given for a holy purpose. And Torah comes to teach us over here, that one should not slaughter and eat the firstborn animal because of that blemish. Right. So don't put any blemish on the animal of the firstborn, in order that you could eat it. That's an abomination. Right. Obali medkan, okay. Now, if one cooked milk and meat, this is a matter that I made an abominable for you. Hisir Khan, the Torah comes in, gives a negative commandment here, over its eating. There's not just a mixture of milk and meat, but of its eating. Let's see. I think this is carried forward. Excuse me. These are the animals that you could eat. Sure, a bull, a seh, lamb, ksovim, seizim. So you can eat bull, lamb, and kids. All right. Further, ayil is a deer, tzvi, gazelle, v'yachmor, a fallow deer, an ako is an ibex, a dishen is an addax, and usoi is a bison, the zemer is wild sheep. Rashi. So these are the animals, right? More lamadness from here we learn that when a beast, a wild animal, is also called an animal, which is usually used for a domesticated type of animal. Because here it's speaking about domesticated and undomesticated animals. Like a deer is not domesticated, but a bull is. Right. Amadnu. So we learn Shebehema v'chayetmeya and impure, unkosher animals and beasts, meruba minatahim, outnumber the pure ones. Shebechol mokum prat l'cham, because the Torah comes and tells us the fewer. So here it's giving us what is kosher. The fewer ones it delineates as opposed to that which is much more. So there's much more other species that are not kosher, and that's why we give the kosher ones because they're a lesser number. Ako and Ako Miturgam Yale is translated by Onkeles, meaning Yal Selam, Ibex. Then Old French, it's Istambok. They say Turbala. Serve Hayar, it's an ox of the forest. Balayar, Lasharami, okay. Verse number 6, B'chol behema, and all animals, these are domesticated, right? These are the signs now of kosher animals. Mafresis parsa, that has split hoofs. B'shisa shesa, which are separated with a split between the two hooves. Shtei parsas, the two into two hooves. Umalis gera, and they also chew their cud. Bebehema oisa techila. In a domesticated animal, oisa, that animal you shall eat. Okay, Rashi in verse number 6. Mafresis means duka split. Kitarguma, as Onkelos translates. And parsa is a hoof plomb in Old French. So it's the same. It's the same root. Parsa, right? One means split, the other means hoof. Shoisas, separated. Chaluka b'shtei tziporim is divided into two hooves, two, um, right? Ein chaluka b'tzein u'parnaim. But it's not divided in completely into separate hooves. Itmeya, because if it would, then it would be not kosher. It's not like it's just the front is separated. Behema, among the animals, in the animals, mashma, this implies mashanim behema, that which is found in an animal, achol you may eat. Mikan amr, from here we learn, as the sages teach, shalshel nitar, that the fetus becomes permitted to be eaten b'shchita ima, with the slaughtering of the mother. Because it says in the animal, meaning even the fetus that's in the animal, through the slaughtering of the mother, becomes permissible to eat. Right? In other words, you don't have to slaughter the fetus because it's been slaughtered in the mother's womb. Okay. Ah. So these are the signs. We already gave the animals that are kosher, right? That have these two signs. But now the Torah gives us those signs. By the way, we had this in Parsha Shmini in the book of Leviticus. There's a repetition. I'm not certain if there's, so far I don't see anything added, except for maybe the fetus now that we just spoke about. I don't recall if we learned that out previously. Some of I think we did. I think we learned it already. Okay. So, of course, the question is the repetition. Usually, there would be something new added. And perhaps there is things, and I just don't recall. Okay. Verse number 7 again. Ah, but this you shouldn't eat. Mali hagira, those that have um, regurgitate their cod. Yeah, we had regurgitating the cud in the previous verse, the two signs. Now it's going to give us examples of that which have one of the signs, but not both. That so this doesn't regurgitate its cud, but it does have split hoof. It's a gamal, a camel. Sorry, the camel. Sorry, it does regurgitate its cud, and it does have a split hoof. It's a gamal, bisar nevis. What is it? 1 second. Okay, sorry. So here it's saying that of those that have regurgitate their cud, and they have split hooves, so it's a gamal, and then har nevis was a hare, uh, shafan, a hyrax. Why? Kimalagera, because it regurgitates the cud, hema, but they don't have completely split hooves, cloven hooves. It's partially, but not completely. In other words, it doesn't go through and through. Rashi in 7, Hashasua, Briyahi, it's a creature, Sheesh Loshnei Gabin, has two backs, Ushtei Shidris, and two backbones. Sages say, Lama Nishnu. Oh, why are these laws of kosher and non-kosher animals repeated? But Bahema, regarding animals, it repeated Mipnei Hashasua, because of the Shasua. Ah. So there's four things here. The Shasua, because the Shasua is added. I took Shasua and I didn't translate it. There's a certain animal called Shasua that's added over here that we didn't have previously. But Ifis, regarding the birds, also we repeated Mipnei Ara because of the Ra'ah. Shalanim Rabbatari's Kahanim that was not said in the book of Leviticus. So I remember I said that needs to be something added. There is something. Why wasn't it added the first time? Why is it only added now? And if it's only one animal, all of this repetition, it really shows us how important eating kosher animals is in the end. So a raw is a vulture. Okay. Verse 8. This chazir and the pig, kimafris parsahu, because it has cloven hooves, flagera, but it doesn't chew its cud. Tamehu lachem, it is impure for you. From their flesh do not eat. And don't touch their carcasses. Rashi and Ein. Don't touch their carcasses. Rabbi Sena Pirshu, so our sages explain, what does that mean? Beregel is speaking about on the holidays. Because then a person is obligated to become pure. Beregel, when he goes up to Jerusalem for the festival, right? He has to be pure because he's bringing offerings for the festival and personal ones and so on and so forth. Yochel, you might be able to think that one would be has to be remain pure b'chol hashana throughout the entire year. For the verse doesn't specify the holidays, right? Kamalaymar Amar la Kahanim, but the verse tells us in Leviticus and Parshas Amar, say to the Kohen, Oma Tumas. I mean, it should regard with the impurity of the dead, chamura, which is more severe form of impurity when you come in contact with a corpse rather than touching a dead animal. Right? Kohanim, Musarim, the Kohen, the priests, they have to safeguard against becoming in contact with a corpse. Ben Israel Musarim, but the Israelites are not. And that's much more severe. So tumas nevelo. So when it comes to the impurity of the carcass, kala, which is relatively light compared to coming in contact with a dead person, loy kol shokain, isn't it all the more so? Right, that you should have to be able that you should avoid it. But when do you have to avoid it? Only when you're going to the festival. That's what the verse is in reference to in the end. Okay. Okay. And these are the ones that you can eat. So that's animals. Now we're going to sea creatures, right? Those that are in water, those who have synapir is fins and casquesis is scales, fins and scales. Those fish that don't have fins and scales, do not eat from it. It is spiritually impure. Any bird, every bird doesn't make you impure, right? Rashi in 11. You may eat every pure bird. Meshulachas to permit. Those are sent off mitzera, abba mitzera. That if you can find them, you're okay. Arav is aya, adaya, lemina, the various types of species of vultures. Rashi in 13. Arav is aya, and the daya, aro aya, udaya. So it's the ra is called an aya. It's also called a daya. Right? It's all in the same verse, different names. Why was it called a ra? Because it can see exceedingly well, this bird, this vulture. So why is it there state the prohibition on all of these names? Why is it necessary to have all these names for this bird? That you shouldn't give yourself a pretext. Like for a dispute and to argue. So that the one who prohibits it, who teaches it that it's prohibited, should not call it a ra. But the one who wishes to remit it, what comes to zudaya, that it's a daya. Oy, ayashma, or it's got a different name. Zu loy aser kasuv. The Torah did not come to forbid Ba'ifis with birds, unlike other animals, prat lachat meim. Torah tells us the ones that are impure. Because it teaches that the pure ones, merubim al tamim, are outnumber the impure ones. So therefore, Torah tells us the impure ones because they're lesser than the pure ones. Biga prata muat. Interesting. There's and every type of crow. There's kolai. Vasyana betam chayz vet shachoy. There's an eitz aminehu. So ostrich, the cuckoo, the gull, the various species of sparrow, hawk. There's a case is the yanshiftin and tin shemes. The speech, the owl, the barn owl, and the bat. Tin shemes, the bat, kalbe soris in Old French. Okay, we're just going through different animals over here. I'm gonna start talking in a few minutes. Sorry that I can't continue. All right.